Hello everyone, and welcome to Jumperman Tech, where we specialize in HVAC, we do everything DIY. And today we are back for a follow-up visit on a system with a faulty compressor. Thank you to everyone tuning into Jumperman Tech. Rise and shine. Alright guys, in my last visit we determined that we had another faulty compressor. Came in over the weekend for an emergency repair. It's freezing out, but we changed the compressor. We put the system in a overnight vacuum. Everything was good. We charged the system with the same amount of refrigerant that we took out, 440 ounces of refrigerant 410A. And we also replaced the inverter board. We got the system running. Everything has been running. Problem is the compressor was running at about 27 amps, which is insanely high. If we look on this tag here, I'm going to take a picture so hopefully you guys can see something clear. It says compressor A, where here we only have one compressor, runs at about 17 amps. Fan motor runs at 4 for a total of 21 amps. It might auto range because it's an inverter compressor. You're gonna get different amperage readings. Wonder if it says anything about lock rotor. Yeah, I don't see it. But I noticed in the last video when the compressor first tries to start, it's like at 27 amps shut off, and then at 31 amps shut off. That's it. Lock rotor, it goes into alarm. I told them it's gonna be possible damage to run this compressor, but it was so cold and all the rooms were booked. This is a hotel, 9 rooms were down and people were in there, so they decided to run it. It's Tuesday now. I installed this on Saturday, got it started up on Sunday, so it's been running ever since. But we're here to do a follow-up. Let's see what we can find. Got Christian here taking off the front panel. It is 37 degrees out. All right guys, so a couple checks right off the bat. Let's rule out a couple basic things. When I started this unit, I watched it run for an hour. Condenser fan motor was running and modulating. I seen it at low speed, and I've probably seen it at its highest speed. Condenser fan is running. That could make the amps go up, at least in a typical system. Also, condenser coil, I can see the light. You know, you can see the openings right here. You can see the light through there. Condenser coil is clean, no obstructions. We can rule that out. The inverter board is new, something to keep in mind, and so is the compressor. So I'd be surprised, but at this point, you never know. First thing we gotta do is do a basic power check. Alright, we're gonna set the meter to volts AC. 3 wires. Our main power is coming in through here. These are our 3 wires. This is a 208 volt 3-phase system. So we got 3 wires here. L1, L2, L3. We're gonna check between L1 and L2. We got 207.3. We got our 208. We're gonna check between L1 and L3. We got 207.2. Alright, then we're going to check between L2 and L3. 207. So we got it. Next, you want to double check the noise filter. That the noise filter out of the board is supplying 208 volts. So let's just make sure we're getting the 208 coming into the board. Alright, 207. 207. 207. Alright, wonder what we will read here. Should read the same. 207. 207. 207. Alright, out of the board, we're supposed to be reading the same. We got our 208. Got our 208. And we got our 208. Yes, guys, we got 206, 207, whatever. That's all 208 to me, as long as you're within range. So supply power is good. Noise filter board is apparently good because it has the correct supply voltage. As far as checking this board, when you look at instructional videos or you look at the instructions through the app, it basically just tells you to make sure that we got the output power. But there's a couple more things here. We have 3 fuses. I'm sure they're good, but if you check across the fuse, you should have 0 volts. And we do. Should be no potential difference. 0 volts. And through here, 0 volts. Fuse is good. And we got these 2 connectors here. I'm just curious. Should be probably reading 208 as well. We got what we got. Make sure I'm getting a good reading here. Yep, it's 208. And then we have one more here. So this one was CN1. Let's check CN2. And that also has 208. All right, so basically you need 208 everywhere. You gotta check between the 3 phases and then between here. So as far as that, main power is good. Noise filter board doing its thing. We have 3 wires for the compressor, UVW. We have a yellow wire, blue wire, and a red wire. We want to make sure that everything is tight. Honestly, I know it's tight. So, but let's just inspect the wiring, make sure everything is good. I got the power on. I got my amp meter across the red wire. I just really want to see this thing start. It's been off since I've been here. I would love to see if what's going on now, see if like it settled down or what. But we had 27 amp, that's way too high. All right, the unit started. .7. Keep an eye on this thing. It's interesting that it's like slowly creeping up. It did start slow before as well, but it got up to like 27 amps, really high. There's some valves clicking open and stuff like that. Let's see. Look at that, guys. 27.8 amps. That is ridiculously high. 27.9. This thing is struggling. That's why the previous compressor went bad. There's something wrong here. Jeez, man. And look at these distributors. They're frozen. This line is frozen. Is that normal? I honestly don't know. The winter time. It's my first winter here. Not sure. Amps are coming down a bit. No. Yes, maybe. Notice this one also got a little frost line in it. Is that normal? The winter time? Nah, that's crazy. Pushing 30 amps almost. 29, 30 amps, man. Nah, man, it's like locked rotor or something. This is no good. We're pushing past 30 amps, guys. This is unreal. We're getting close to like doubling what we should be. It says it runs at about 17 amps. I've seen them range from like 17 to 20, maybe 30.3 and climbing. How is this not going into an alarm? That's my question. It makes you question if your meter is even correct. Look at that. This one's reading 32 amps. Boy. Thought it might be better, it only gets worse. 31.3, 32.3. Gosh. There's something seriously wrong here. I told them don't run this unit, but they wanted to. That could have caused some serious damage. I'm wondering, is it could be a bad new compressor? I don't know, or just one of these boards not supplying something right. So I'm just following the checklist. Incoming power is good. Noise filter board has the correct output. We've got to check resistance on the compressor. No, Now it's coming down dramatically. I mean, that's good, but what is going on? It's so strange. I just opened up another unit and look, this one's frosted up too. Maybe it is normal this season. Alright, we got this other unit running. Got 20.4 amps. Let's see what this climbs up to. I wonder in the wintertime if it just runs harder. It's already running higher than what I see during the summertime. Just something about that just didn't seem right. So I seem to try to start and lock like at like 27 to 30 something. Like that just makes no sense. I'm surprised it didn't go off with an error code though. At 20.7 amps at the moment. Let's keep an eye on this. Alright, so I shut the power off. I know I left everything super tight. That's good. If you have loose connections, you're gonna have high amps. Alright, I can confirm nothing is loose there, and honestly, I tighten these very well, and I always do. So that checks out. Let's remove the wires and do a resistance check between all three, and then do an insulation resistance test from leg to ground. Alright, I got my meter set to ohms. I'm going to read resistance. At the same time, my meter reads continuity, so you're going to hear a beep. Let's check between the first two terminals. On the manual, it says it should read 0.256 ohms of resistance at 77 degrees with a range of 7%. It's 35 degrees, so that's going to be a little bit different. Let's check between the first two. Just make sure this thing like evens out. Got 0.4. It's a three-phase compressor, so they should all match. 0.4. Next two. Make sure it evens out. 0.5. Got a 0.4, 0.5. And we do have continuity. 0.4, 0.5. I'd give that a pass. Let's do an insulation resistance check with a mega meter. Alright, got my mega meter here, so pretty much we're gonna go from each terminal on one side to either the casing of the motor or to copper. Sometimes I check both just to see. We're gonna do a 500 volt test to that. It should be above 100 mega ohms. And we passed 4,000 on that one. Okay. Next. Passed 4,000 on that one. That's good. Next one. Over 4,000. Alright. Okay, so the compressor checks out. I checked using two different grounds. I checked the casing of the motor and a piece of copper pipe coming out of the motor. This compressor is good and it is brand new, and it looks like no damage has been done. Alright, so pretty much we passed the compressor test in two different ways. Next, we're gonna check the bridge diode. Here is the converter board, and there's the bridge diode itself right there. I disconnected the two wires to it, so I don't have any feedback. We're gonna set the meter to do a diode test. That is the symbol right there. And let's go ahead and check this. Just so you guys can see what I'm doing, this terminal right here, let me point it out with the meter, because it's hard to see. This terminal right here is your positive. This terminal here is your negative. Then this one right here is R, this is S, and this is T. That's what I'm going to be checking. Okay, we're going to be reading volts DC. we have our meter set, and it doesn't matter which lead goes where. So we're gonna put black on negative and check between RST. We're supposed to read between 0.4 to 0.7. 0.7, look at that, we're going above 1, 1.2, 1.3. Next, S, 1.5, 1.6, just keeps rising. And then R, just keep rising, look at that. So let's read 0.4 to look, OL. Looks like we found the problem, guys. Let's run the second test on this. So first we had black on negative and then red between RST. Now we're gonna put the red on positive and then the black on RST. All right, we're checking between T and positive, S and positive, R and positive, and we're supposed to get the same reading, 0.4 to 0.7. Look at that, 1.8, next 1.9, OL, we're already over the range, and between here, OL. So we're just climbing and climbing and climbing. This bridge diode is bad. I'm glad we found something. According to the checklist, that's the way it was supposed to be, and it shows that it's bad. But the issue is when I switch it around, it actually gives me a good reading. So if I, instead of putting the black on negative, I put the red on negative and check between RST. Look, I got 0.5, 0.5, and 0.49, so 0.5. And then if I put the black on positive and check between RST, 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. So it shows that it's good. I don't understand why the check is telling me something different, because I really don't believe that I'm reading that wrong. You guys tell me in the comments what you think. Alright guys, here's a brand new board. I went and got it because I was like, oh, that's the thing. They have this downstairs. So let's do it the way that they mentioned. So black on negative and then check between here. OL, OL, OL. And then red on positive and then RST, OL, OL, OL. But if we do it the other way around and put the red on negative, we got 0.49, 0.49, 0.49, checks out. And then black on positive, and then between RST, 0.49, 0.49, and 0.49. What's going on? I really don't believe I was reading that wrong. I believe I was reading it right, but bridge diode is good. Bridge diode was good. Unbelievable. Alright, so the inverter board is here. Let's just hold this up, make sure it doesn't fall off. Inverter board is back here. Here's UVW, positive, negative. Also, this is negative, this is positive. So they're saying again, put black. We're gonna do the same diode test. Supposed to read between 0.4 and 0.7, black on negative, and then check between UVW. 1.1 in climbing, 1.3 in climbing, 1.5 in climbing. And then red on positive, and then black for UVW. Climbing, 1.7 climbing, and eventually it's gonna go to OL. 1.8 in climbing. But again, going away from what the manual is actually saying, which is very strange. If I put the black to positive and then check, I got 0.4, next 0.4, 0.4, and then the red on negative, and then check between black UVW, 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. I have the wires connected, but I don't think it's gonna make a difference because I put the wires, I mean, maybe it might, but I'll check it. But I put the wires back on here and I checked, and we got the same exact readings. I'll try it with isolating it, but this is looking like it's checking out as well. I got everything disconnected from here. So let's see, black on negative. Let's check UVW. OL, because it's high, it's too high, that's why. Let's put red on positive and black through there. Oh, because it's too high. But now let's reverse it. 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. The other way, 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. Just as I suspected. Inverter board checks out as well. Here are the 3 compressor wires. Seems okay. I'm gonna just check for continuity, which I'm sure we have, but also resistance. So from yellow to yellow, we hear a beep, we have continuity. 0.1. Red to red, continuity. 0.1. Blue to blue, continuity and 0.1. I don't see anything wrong here. We just went through the checklist. Also checking the heat sinks in the back, make sure nothing is loose. Nothing is loose. So far, everything checks out. Oh man, we gotta check the power board. We gotta check the power board. That's the last thing. Well, as far as the checks that I saw through one manual and video instruction online through LG, that was all the checks. There's one more thing that we could check as far as here is the power board, and we checked that with the power on. All right, we're using the LG HVAC service-business app. So here's the main PCB. It says before check DC voltage, remove these 3 wires, red, yellow, blue. Red, yellow, blue. We don't have a yellow. Okay, so let's remove those and check voltage. All right guys, I'm not sure why my phone stopped recording, but I disconnected the blue and the red. I checked voltage here. Right there it said between 3 and terminal 5 we had 5 volts. Between 3 and terminal 6 we did have 12 volts. Then I checked the red. Between terminal 4 or 5 is ground. Between 4 and 6 is 5 volts. Between 4 and 7 is 15 volts. We had that. And then I checked over here. Terminal 2 is ground. So between 2 and 1 we had 5 volts. And between 2 and 7 we had 12 volts. Everything checked back out. Turned the power back on. I don't see anything wrong here. You know, it really makes me question, like, why are all these compressors going bad here? And I'm thinking, what if it just comes down to installation? You know, and these things are just getting their asses kicked, and these compressors just keep going out because they're just overworking, because maybe the piping is wrong. So we had that poor oil return people are talking about, and it just makes this thing run hot. It makes this thing overwork. So maybe something's up with this piping setup for this specific unit, and it just runs hard. I don't know, but it's really strange. I can understand maybe if it's a little bit higher, but it's crazy how it can go past 30 amps. It does come down, and like I watched it for a while, and the average is around 24 to 26 amps, and that's kind of where it like averages out, about 25 amps. And I'll take 25, but after that, like, you're pushing it. Out of curiosity, checking amps on another machine that's on the same floor. This does a 6th floor west side, this does a 6th floor east side. Similar amount of gas. Look at these amps. 27 amps, that's also super high, and it's just about the same. And we have changed this compressor before. This thing has failed before. Now it's got me questioning, like, is there anything actually even wrong? Like, obviously something's wrong, but like, might be nothing to do with the boards or anything about the parts. It just could be the installation itself. I was reading on some more manuals before I called tech support, and there is another thing we could check on the inverter board. We could check some resistance. I'm gonna check it, but man, I'm at a loss for words right now for the fact that this thing is running at similar amps, and we changed this. When did we? I don't know if I checked amps on this after I installed this. This is my first compressor I changed here. This was like well over 6 months ago. It's been running like this. We're gonna keep an eye on those amps. It's gonna be slightly climbing, no, coming down, but still, that's ridiculous. 27 amps, man. I don't know why different instruction manuals tell you different things. We're gonna do this one last time. We're gonna do another check. So right here, this little piece right here, these three, is your diode, right? When we checked between here and these negatives, that's your IGBTM, and then we can check resistance through here. So on that little diode, it says the thick line. That's what it say. Put the black probe negative tester on the thick line. The thick line is supposed to be negative. That looks like the thick line, and that's proper. Okay, we're supposed to read again 0.4 to 0.7, so 0.53. That one, 0.53, 0.53. Once again, that checks out. And then the last thing says resistance. All right, let's set this up. We're gonna take off this little push down on that. Let's see what's up. All right, so let's see. 4 and 5 is ground. Number 6 is 5 volts. Number 7 is 15 volts. Between ground and 5 volts, which is terminal 4 and 6, we should read above 1 kilo ohm. That's normal. Below that, it's bad. And then the next one, on the 15 volt one, right? So between terminal 4 and 7, we should read above 10 kilo ohms. Below that is bad. Wait, which one? 4 and 5 is ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's check right there. See, we're above 1 kilo ohm and climbing. Okay. Let's see. Let's make sure we got a good connection. Oh, you gotta make sure this is nice and tight. I'm getting a good connection here. Now it's climbing. See, now we got above 10 kilo ohms. Got 15 and climbing. This thing is good. It's actually good. All right, guys. We checked everything on this inverter board. There's really nothing else to check. On this is the converter board. We did check the bridge diode, but I think a long time ago I actually was checking something on here. I'm gonna open up one of the manuals. It's like you gotta put in a, if you put in a different error code for compressor, it tells you like different things. So I think there was a resistance check right here. I'm gonna want to check that, but maybe voltage or something through here. Man, what is going on? We did check voltage coming out through here, which goes to the power board, and then we did check the power board itself through the main board. This is the fan board, so it's like nothing to do with anything. This is the noise filter board. That was good. This is something called the external board. This looks like it's all like communication wires and stuff like that. The unit's calling, it's trying to do its thing. Wow. And then when you come over here, look at this thing now. 28.6 amps. And it's like matching up with what it's doing here. And that thing's been running for a while, but it has failed. But I guess it could take that sort of beating. It's making me think like there's actually nothing wrong with any of these parts, because I can't find anything wrong. And it might just be coming down to installation. There's something seriously wrong in this building, man. And it's driving me nuts. You know, like It's just at this point, what, we just gotta stock compressors and change them whenever they go bad? What is this? If you call tech support, they give you some extra data. Some of the stuff is not fully in. So the bridge diode, we checked that. And the next thing you could check to fully check is this terminal right here. Between, let's see, terminal 9 is ground, terminal 10 is 5 volts, and terminal 11 is 15 volts. It says you keep the black lead on ground, and then you check on the red lead goes to the 5 volt terminal. So between 9 and 10 you should have above 1 kilo ohms. Then you do the same thing for the 15 volts. So between 9 and 11 you should have above 10 kilo ohms, similar to what the other one was, the other checks. All right, checking resistance. So 9 and 10 should be above 1 kilo ohms. Let's see where it averages out to. 6.4 kilo ohms. Then between 9 and 11, let me get a good reading. Should be about 10 kilo ohms. Hold on a second. We got 12 mega ohms. Hold on a second. Between 9 and 10. We got 6.42 kilo ohms. Should be above 1 kilo ohm, so that's okay. But then 9 and 11 should have above 10 kilo ohms. Hold on a second. We have 9.72 mega ohms. Let me see if I reverse this lead, if this does anything. I still got 6.4 kilo ohms on that one. Oh, I reversed my leads and look, we're above 10 kilo ohms. It's just rising and rising. Something with these leads, you got to really pay attention to what you're doing to, but it checks out. One last thing that we could check over here for the power board is between these top 2 terminals on this plug. They said check for 15 volts DC. And we got 14.6. Man, there's nothing going on here. All these boards, everything's doing as it should. Everything is doing as it should. Seriously leading me to believe that because this one was also having similar amps, I wouldn't be surprised if others are as well. The ones that have been failing, they got the same problem. Got the same problem. Something really, really strange is going on. And this is just what they got in the building. Unit failed, runs on high amps, but it is what it is. That's what's going on. Got the unit up and running right now. 27 amps. Fan is running. I connected the LG MV service tool. Got Christian's phone connected to it right now. This thing is amazing. It tells you everything what's going on. And I'm actually on the phone with tech support while I'm on hold. I'm waiting for them to answer. And I'm gonna see what they say. But this is a tricky one. Everything is working as it should. We just got some strange amps. Just a quick note, all the wires were nice and tight, nothing showing any issues. And if I put my hand here, I can feel that the heater is actually working. 30 amps, man.
2,000 years later.
All right, guys, I just got off the phone with tech support. Waited about 35 minutes before they even answered the phone. and pretty much I told him all my findings, and he agrees that everything is good. Electrically, mechanically, everything is running as it should. Everything checks out. It's just for the fact that we have these high amps, and he's basically saying that we need to contact the local rep for something called LATs. We need to know exactly how much charge of refrigerant is supposed to be here. We got to start from the beginning. This thing could have been not installed properly from beginning, so we got to go by something called LATs. I don't know how much refrigerant, you know, originally was here, but I can tell you right now, I pulled out 440 ounces of refrigerant when I replaced the compressor, and I put in a fresh charge of 440 ounces of R410A. To me, that is correct, but that's only based on what I pulled out of here. This could have been wrong from the beginning. Could have been wrong from the beginning. This is only factory charge, 16.9 pounds. 440 ounces equates to 25.5 pounds. So that could play an issue. Also, I mentioned how dirty all the indoor air handlers are. Poor airflow issues can put strain on the compressor, which I think is one of the biggest factors here. If it's not installation of pipe length, all the twists and turns they made, maybe oil pockets that they created, such as, I'll tell you right now, they got these freaking suction core filter dryers. I opened this up before and I found oil being trapped in there. There's no more even cores inside there. Once they finish this problem, because they changed so many compressors here in the past, and even an engineer from Korea had to come, they should have got rid of this. These should be eliminated. This is causing a slight issue. The dirty air handlers that I found inside is causing an issue. It could be an issue with the piping. It can be an issue even with the ductwork. All that stuff can play a role in affecting these units. So we got to start from the beginning. We got to call the local rep and find out the LATs. We got to start with charge, but pretty much there's nothing that can be found wrong. And he said at about 35 amps, this thing will cut off. And we've seen it as high as close to 32 amps. Man, it's crazy when you call tech support and tech support cannot help you. They do not know what's going on. That's how crazy this is, because I've checked everything according to every manual and them, and I don't find a thing. This is truly something amazing. I would love to get this building back in line. If I can find this issue, I would be an absolute hero, and it would be an amazing part of my career and a huge accomplishment. But as of right now, we're gonna have to leave this as is. As right now, it's a mystery, and I thank you guys all for joining me. These guys are building a whole new building over here, and they're working day and night to get this thing up and running. You know, all our construction workers, all our service guys, installation guys, we are the backbone of America. And you know, gotta take a little bit of time in your day to appreciate these people, because really working out in the cold and the heat, doing hard jobs that people don't want to do just to keep everybody comfortable. But as of right now, the next best thing to do is, I'm having trouble saving the data on my cell phone. I'm gonna try to get a laptop and make this communicate to the laptop so I can save that data. We'll let the unit run for about an hour or two, record that data, send that over to the local rep, compare that to the LATs with how much refrigerant I pulled out, see what's going on, see what the proper charge is or what it should be, and take it from there, because who knows what people have done. Apparently these units, these outdoor units, go back to 2016. It's the end of 2023. We're about to be in 24. So after all the years and change outs, and I could see this compressor was changed out before, you know, things could have got mixed up, and not everybody does the right thing. Even LG or whoever, or one of their representatives, they were up here, they changed this compressor, they're in and out in 8 hours. That's impossible. There's no way you're pulling a good vacuum and doing all this work. It took like 2.5 hours just to pull 2 hours to pull the refrigerant out. Like, let's be real. They're doing all this stuff properly. They slapped this thing on, probably pulled a 30-minute vacuum, slapped it back on. No, that's why I take a little longer to do this. I do the compressor and I pull a vacuum into the next day. I really want to do a good job here. I give my all, I give my best, and I think everybody should do the same. but it is what it is. It's working, and we're gonna send that bill out and get paid, but we're gonna wrap it up from here. If you have any comments, I would really appreciate it if you leave it down there to help me brainstorm what is happening here. This unit's 1 condensing unit, 2 HR boxes, 6 indoor units for this specific unit. But anyways, we're wrapping it up. If anyone found this video interesting or helpful, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe as I come out with new videos every week. And thank you, LG, for our job security. And I'll catch you all next time.